Hi, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden. Welcome to Shifting Perspectives. This is called Stepping into Your Truth. This is pretty much what I'm working on, and I'm going to break down the definition of truth because we all need a wake-up call. The first time I looked up truth, I found 3 definitions in the dictionary. I found the definition for religious people. I found the definition for lawyers and court people. And I found the definition for science. I thought it was very interesting that of all the words in the world, truth, no one could agree on one single definition of truth. And I thought things like, let me get this straight. The word truth is the very thing we're all fighting about. And it's the thing that I have been told, this is the way it is, by my Christian parents. So that's the thing that was rammed down my throat. Truth. In fact, that's the thing that's been rammed down all of our throats, isn't it? Truth. Your parents crammed their truth down your throat, and your older brother who beats the fuck out of you, he crams his truth down your throat. And when you speak up to go, well, this is my truth, you get like 20 people attacking you and just beating you down into nothing. And every one of these persons says the same thing about truth. This is my favorite part. There can be only one. Okay. But even in the dictionary can't even agree. You've got your religious definition, your lawyer definition, and your science definition. Oh, and let's not forget, because I studied a little bit more, philosophy also has their definition of truth. Now, this is getting to be fun. I went, well, this is a big fucking deal. And I'll tell you why it's a big fucking deal. Because raise your hand if you were ever abused by someone's forcing their truth onto you. Look at the people in the room. It is unanimous. Like, this is what I'm talking about. So I'm going, if I'm being abused by this thing, can we at least agree on what it is I'm being abused about? I asked this question. You know, I think I prefer me doing philosophy and psychology when I'm high than sober. And it's probably because I'm less scared. It is. I'm not scared at all. In the morning, I think things in my head like, what if they don't like me? What if they don't listen? What if they don't believe? What if I'm not smart enough? What if? And I fight them all day long, those voices in my head. And then I think things like, get high, Anna. Get high right now. But it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Or it's 9 o'clock in the morning. But I'm trying to have my coffee. And my smart-ass self says, you do have a mermaid coffee nug with a built-in bowl. Yes, I do. And I went, I do, but I can't smoke first thing in the morning. And they're like, why not? You are definitely more entertaining when you're high. Credibility. Who's credible? Who is credible? Who are you trying to impress? She just asked the question. Who am I trying to impress? Oh, this is so humiliating. 4th perspectives. Why are you trying to impress 4th perspectives? I say to myself, because they make all the rules. No, no, honey. You studied sociology, do it again. Who makes all the rules? I know who makes the rules. I know exactly who makes the rules. Because I studied sociology. You read Who Makes the Rules? The people. The people make the rules. That's right. And how do they make the rules? Boycott. Every time. Every time. If we're not dumping tea off a boat, every time. You see, this is the way a society works. I'm going to introduce you to Mitchell. Mitchell. To all the Mitchells in the audience, I'm sorry, Mitchell. We're going to talk about Mitchell. Mitchell has a history. I worked in a bookstore once. Are you surprised? I worked in a bookstore once. And my manager, really wonderful lady, magical adult, had this growth in the middle of her chest. After we were friends for a decent amount of time, I asked her very politely, what's that, elaborate, may I ask? And she very happily went, oh, that's Mitchell. And I went, Mitchell? And she said, yes, I've had him removed twice and he comes back. Mitchell! And she goes, yeah, I got into the habit of throwing that name onto anything that you try and break off and throw away and it just won't go away. Like the government. And I went, like the government, Mitchell. And we started talking about this concept of, there's always this anonymous they. They didn't want it this way. They changed the bill over at Congress. They. And we're like, who's they? Mitchell. Mitchell is they. That is who Mitchell is. Mitchell's last name is Officials. Mitchell Officials. So every time you hear it, officials say, who is Officials? I thought for the longest time that Officials really was the last name of some guy in Congress who was like the leading authority on X, and his last name was Officials. So every time I watched the news and I heard Officials says, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I hunted him down once. I Googled him when Google finally came out. Mind you, I had like 15 years where I had to wait to figure out who Officials was because there was no internet or Google. So when that Google finally came along, I was able to go, who the fuck is Officials? And that's when I found out that Officials was not the last name of some guy in Congress who had the official authority and all this shit. He was nobody, but the news talks about him all the time. Officials say. Who the fuck is Officials? You can slap anything in there if you want and be like, you know what? Officials say. Who the fuck are these people? I want names. They never give you names, though. Have you ever noticed? So anyway, this is Mitchell Officials. This is Mitchell. So every time, this is how I stayed sane, people. This is it right here. This is how I stayed sane. Every time I saw something that was what I like to call illogical nonsense or illogical insanity, I love saying that, I credited that to Mitchell. I remember this one time, some guy up in purchasing decided to enter a purchase order into the computer stating how many pairs of jeans we should have. That year, we ended up with 60,000 pairs of jeans. We did not have the square footage. And I was the stockroom manager. This was my first introduction to Mitchell Officials. Can't we just ship them back? No, we can't. Why not? Because they don't have, I'm going to calm down, because they don't have the order in which to put it through. The order? She's like, yes, you can't just transfer merchandise from point A to point B. You would need a purchase order. Yes, so can't you return them? They don't have a return policy, but they were shipped by mistake. And, ready for the logic? It's our company. It's not like we purchased these from somewhere else and we're returning. They're our company. We're just sending them back to headquarters where they will sit right where they were supposed to sit to begin with. In fact, there's an empty space right over there. Yes, but the logistics cost is going to cancel out the problem, so they don't want to move the money around. So to save money, you got to find a place for 60,000 pairs of jeans in this little closet. And Mitchell ordered the same size, 6X7. Still stuck in my head. That was 20 years ago. Illogical Insanity is run by Mitchell. And Mitchell has this concept that there is only one truth. That is what we are fighting about. But we got religious people saying that they've got the one truth, and there's only like 30,000 different religions. So everyone has the one truth. And then the lawyers have their truth, and the scientists have their truths, but only in some of them. I found out over math the other day where physics actually agrees that one truth is something else. Well, chemists say it's another one. So the scientists don't even agree. Yeah, that was fun. Mathematicians have their definition, physicists have their definition, chemists have theirs, biologists have theirs. And I'm just going, really? Really? You guys are almost as indecisive. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. But can we stop pretending that we all know when we don't? Can scientists stop lying? Because you don't know half as much as you claim you do. You're throwing around fact, and then you come around later going, okay, so we were wrong. Then it's not a fact. And then religious people, we know that mess. We know that mess. Lawyer people, oh my God. So, right. Fun fact, court is not about justice. Get that out of your idea. It's one of my hardest concepts to try and teach people. They think court is about justice. No, it's not. It is not about justice. Trust me. Ask anyone who's been in the system. Ask anyone who has needed help and couldn't get it. No, the court is not about justice. The court is about who can use words the best to manipulate the system. That is what law is about. I'm going to write that down. Who can use words and logic the best to manipulate? And you are manipulating a jury using words and logic. That's it. Do you want to know what lawyers study when they become attorneys? Philosophy, logical argument and debate, formal argument. That is what attorneys study. They give those fucking assholes significant logical power. And I am a logician, first and foremost. I know exactly what they just handed those dipshits. And most attorneys are narcissists because the power attracts them. Now, philosophy, this is why I love philosophy, because philosophy starts right off with, let's all admit that none of us have any idea what we're doing here. Right off, the very first thing out of the philosopher's mouth is, we don't have any idea what's going on here. We are ignorant. The more you acknowledge that you know nothing, you're actually wise. All right. All right. People who can tell the truth. Ooh, you know what? Maybe I'll go with their definition. You see what I'm pointing? That's it. That's it right there. This is all about truth. Who's telling the truth? If they're all sitting here screaming at you saying, this is the truth, and this is the truth, and this is the truth, and they're all causing wars over whose truth is better, I'm going to really significantly doubt their truth, because their truth is inciting violence and manipulation. So I hereby declare that the courts don't have the answer for truth. They don't. Because I have watched them with my own eyes use logic and words to manipulate whatever they want to get the best outcome. And no attorney will deny that. Ask them. Religion. I'm going to enjoy this. These pacifist religions are so busy practicing violence and intolerance while they cram their truth down other people's throats at the expense of the people that they're stomping into the ground to support their pacifist God. Science. I love science. But they're pompous, and they're arrogant, and they're proud, to the detriment of their own weaknesses. It is very rare that I find a scientist who can set aside his own prejudice to admit that he knows nothing. The problem I have with scientists are the majority of them significantly lack humbleness. Most of them have a massive vendetta against religion because they're projecting their abuse into science. I was one of them for a long time. That's how I know. Is because they project their pain and abuse into science as if to retaliate against the religious abuse that they endured. I love scientists, but I have seen too many instances where they need to do a little bit more healing and a lot more philosophy. The philosopher opened his mouth and said, I know nothing. And then the philosopher explained the importance of listening, and we were given Socratic method. Open mind, curiosity, question. What is truth? Now, after they exercised this, the philosopher reached a point where he defined truth. It was unanimous. The philosophers all agreed that truth is absolutely subjective. And according to the Bible, I'm sorry, I misspoke. According to the dictionary, which is my Bible, religion, law, court, and science and philosophy all have their own independent definition. And even within that, if you break down the branches of science, they'll come up with different definitions. And also, if you break down religious, they will also come up with their own definitions. Therefore, the philosopher is correct. Yes, I can definitely say that truth is very subjective. So the one definition of truth that I would put in the dictionary would be truth. A definition of what is solely based on one's own personal logic and or perspective. Truth is subjective. We're not using truth. We're not looking for truth in a court of law. That is a lie they tell you. That is a fucking big lie they tell you. They're not looking for truth in the court of law. That is them masturbating themselves so that they can get more funding. And it's been a practice since the Senate, Rome and the Council of Nicaea was very careful to continue the Senate well into their rule. And it's still here. The Roman Senate. So, I really don't need to prove myself to anyone anymore. And I feel really calm right now and really relaxed. So that when I say to you, step into your truth, because it's the full moon, and for the next few days, you're going to feel everything rip out of you, and that's okay. Step into your truth. Abandon all of the things you've been avoiding to look at, because that's where you are. You are in your center truth. And every time you feel ripped apart, it's because you are being drawn back to that truth. So I'm changing my marketing for the last time. This is my truth. I am for magical adults. And I am for witches. And I am for light workers. And I am not going to divide my personalities anymore by day or by night. I am not going to try and cater to a bunch of people who aren't ready to admit that magic is real, because we're running out of time. And the universe is poking the hell out of me going, it's time, it's okay. So we're running out of time. Let me rephrase this. She has a timetable, and things have to happen when she says they have to happen, and they have to happen in the right order at the precise time. And I kind of know why, and I don't really want to get into it right now. But the point is, it's time for this now. And she's kicking me in the ass today going, fix it. Okay, fine, I'll fix it. So to make sure I stay on her timetable, I am now, for the last time, shifting all of my marketing over to magical adults. I am no longer going to try and pretend that I am some sophisticated, I'm totally fucking sophisticated, but that's not the point. The point is, I'm not going to try and please fourth perspectives anymore. I'm just going to assume 100% of the time that my audience are witches, because I am making a decision. There you go. Are you happy now? I am making the decision. I am deciding 100% that my people are magical adults. I believe in magic 100%. Absolutely, I do. I believe in fairies, and I believe I am one. I know I am one. Really don't care if anyone thinks about that. I am one. I know I am. So here's how this works. If you feel like me, if you feel like I do, November 1st, I am putting together a talk. Join me. The link is below. It's called Change Now. Just click on that. And if you love shit like this, like, subscribe, follow, click on the link below, and share with whomever you feel could use it.